Hey YouTube, I'll be uploading two videos today. This one is a detailed account of my changes on tea thus far. I did touch on it for a couple of minutes in my last video, but I'd like to talk in greater detail, and YouTube's time limits and stuff won't really allow me to have like a 25-minute video, which is why I was so brief in the last one. So, I am just over 2.5 years on tea, and I'm happy to announce that changes are still happening for me. Of course, the number one thing that everyone notices on testosterone is hair. Most of my hair growth on testosterone, like body hair growth, has been below the waist. Like from the waist down, I am a complete beast all over the place. From the waist up, not as much. I do have a decent amount of belly hair and like a treasure trail now, which I'm pretty happy about actually, but it took a lot longer for that to come in than for certain other places to get hairy. I do have some chest hair, but not a lot. I actually very recently, like within the last 2 weeks, maybe tops, have started growing chest hair in the middle of my chest, like right here. Whereas up until then, I only had chest hair right around the nipples, which is, to me, seems kind of weird, but apparently is not that unusual for that to be the first place you grow hair on your chest. So still growing hair in new places, which is always fun. I have some hair on my forearms now, which is new and kind of alarming because I don't want to have a hairy penis if I ever get phalloplasty, but I've talked about that. Facial hair. You can probably tell in this video that I have more here than I did in my last video. That's because I haven't shaved in a few days. That being said, I can't really grow a beard yet. I can grow a decent sort of like patch beard, but it's not quite filled in all the way here. And my chin is pretty much hairless except like I get a little under the lip, like a little soul patch, but that's it. Around the jawline, I can grow pretty thick facial hair, but in the middle, not so much. Mustache area, not so much, and chin area, not so much. So I'm waiting on it. But in the last year, I've noticed like a huge difference in the amount of facial hair I can grow. So that's a positive. I probably, if I had to guess, I'll be like 4 years on tea by the time I can grow an actual beard. The other thing that a lot of people, want to know about when you're talking about your changes on tea is your voice change. As you can tell, I do have a pretty masculine voice. I already had a deep voice to begin with, quote unquote, for a female pre-tea. So, I'm not surprised that I find that I have a very masculine voice. It does sometimes still crack, which can be a little annoying. It started cracking a lot for me at about 6 or 7 months on tea. And from there, it was like all downhill for weeks, months. Just complete embarrassing teenage boy, constant voice cracking kind of thing was going on. And at around before the 1 year mark, I'd say, like maybe around 10 or 11 months, it kind of leveled out, stopped cracking all the time, and now I have this deeper voice. By the 1 year mark, it was done for sure, but it didn't start until the 6 or 7 month mark either, so hard to say. Another thing that for me took a really long time, that did take a really long time, because the vocal changes for me, not a huge deal. I wasn't really expecting anything right off the bat. But one thing for me that took a really long time that isn't really fun to talk about, but I feel like I should, because I feel like there are probably other trans men that are in the same boat that are worried or freaked out. My menstruation didn't stop until I was 9 months on tea. I had more than 8 periods on tea. Towards the end, like the last couple months before it did stop, I was having 2 periods a month. on testosterone, and like even after my dosage increased and all the other changes were happening, and my T levels were supposedly normal, that didn't stop for a very long time. Most of the trans guys I talked to had said either they never ever ever had a single period after they started T, or they had like one, and after that they never ever had one again because they were on T, and you don't get periods on T. But I did for the first like 9 months on T. So when it finally stopped, I was super happy, and I haven't had one since. But I think it is important to let people know that not everybody has the experience of, oh, I just had my first T shot and I'm never ever gonna bleed again, which is what I was expecting, and really not what happened at all. That's moving on though. If anyone has questions about that, feel free to go ahead, but I just kind of want to move ahead here. A couple things happened on T that I'm not happy about. One of them, since starting T, and mostly in the last year, so I don't know how much of it is testosterone, but I think testosterone is a kind of a contributing factor. I gained about 40 pounds. I'm working on losing that weight right now, and I've dropped from 170 pounds to 159 pounds, so that's a plus. But one of my fears starting testosterone was that I'd gain a bunch of weight, and it turns out I did gain a bunch of weight. So another fear that I had was acne, and I definitely have much worse acne than I did before T. In fact, my acne was recently diagnosed as nodulocystic acne, which means I have to take a bunch of medication for it, and my doctor attributes that pretty much 100% to the testosterone. So there have been some downsides too. Another thing that's just kind of weird, and I'm not sure if I talked about this in my last video or not, is I've noticed kind of like in terms of like my personal hygiene, I notice a lot more now that I'm on T when I'm sweaty or dirty. It feels different, it feels like greasier, and it smells different. I definitely try to shower every single day now, whereas before I would sometimes go a couple days without showering because I didn't really notice it. Since being on T, that's totally changed. Like, I notice when I'm dirty or greasy, and it kind of happens faster too. So that's something that was unexpected. That is a change that no one really talked about. Another thing is, and I've just noticed this recently, my hands and feet, especially my feet, seem to have grown on T. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten any taller or anything, but my feet are definitely wider, and in the last year I've gone up 2 shoe sizes. So something's going on there. The last thing I really want to talk about, well, there's a couple things. First of all, emotional changes. I don't really find that I've had any major ones. Sometimes I find it harder to cry than I used to, but not always. Things like increased sex drive and increased appetite have sort of leveled out over the last little while. I don't notice them as much as before. Other than that, I wouldn't really say I've had a lot of emotional changes. And in terms of physical changes, the only other thing I can think to talk of is downstairs genital growth, which I don't want to go into in a ton of detail for obvious reasons. I will say that it was one of the very first things I noticed on T. Like, after my first shot, I noticed a little bit, honestly. And it was steady for the first maybe year or so. Just steady growth down there was happening. And since then, it's kind of tapered off or plateaued. I haven't noticed any growth in, I'd say 6 months to a year. But I also don't, like, measure or really examine myself that much. I would say what I've got is significant, and I'm planning to get a metoidioplasty soon. So I'll keep you guys posted as to how that goes. In terms of other physical changes, there's really nothing I can think of to talk about, but I wanted to provide a detailed account of all of my changes on T over the last 2.5 years, and that seems to cover everything. So, I'll wrap up this video here, and thanks for watching. Have a good day, you guys. Peace out.